So, thinking about family stories and how these stories can get passed along through different generations or through different family or friendship networks, and how really dangerous and damaging these stories can be. I was speaking with somebody at the weekend who I haven't spoken to in absolutely years, and but I'm connected to, and I'm connected to other people in her family network, and we were having a catch up. It was absolutely wonderful to have a catch up with her. We've had no bad history. Quite the opposite. We've always got on very well, but just the months and years have just passed, as is often the case, so many times. And we just had a really lovely catch up, and we were talking about a family situation, and nothing sordid or anything like that. Just talking about this story that has kind of passed through the different networks, the different family networks, the different social networks, and the story hasn't particularly got distorted. It's not a case of that it's kind of changed direction or grown in severity or anything like that. The story is in a way quite simple, but speaking to her and hearing her point of view on it, and how incredibly different her take on it, her side of the story, her perspective is to what everybody else has heard, or maybe not what everybody else has heard, but to what I have heard, just made me. I just came away just feeling really, really quite sad for her. Actually, not sad for her in a pitying way, just sad for her in a way that it feels like such a sad situation. And the reason why I mention this is because the other side of the story feels a lot more angry. It feels like there's a lot more betrayal. It feels like there's much more of a disharmony, if you like. And this is the point, isn't it? I mean, this is the point that is so often the case, is that when there are family difficulties, there's such a fine line between hurt and anger. This is probably something I'm sure that most of you can relate to. Hurt turns to anger very easily, because anger is a lot easier to deal with. It's a lot easier to be angry. It's a lot easier to turn hurt or disappointment or heartache or abandonment into anger. And so whenever we hear stories of people being angry, I know, just because of the work that I do, I know that often comes from a place of hurt. That's often the case. I can remember speaking to a client before. In fact, it's an analogy I use with quite a few of my clients, actually, about when people get very defensive, like women in my case, my clients get feel very hurt, feel very angry. I liken it to a cat that has a thorn in its claw, and you try to get near the cat to help the cat, and the cat hisses at you and spits at you and kind of arches its back, but it's not angry, it's hurt. And I just think it's a really good visual concept, really. And that's often what we do when we are hurt, is we protect ourselves by being angry. And I just think it's just so relatable. It's just so relatable. And there was just something really, I don't think humbling is the right word. It wasn't a humbling experience speaking to this person, but there was just something about it which I just think we can all relate to so much. And she wasn't angry. She wasn't bitter. She wasn't hostile. I just felt that she felt let down. And yeah, I don't know. It stayed with me. And it stayed with me because I just really wanted to just kind of like give her a big hug, which can't obviously because we can't hug anybody at the moment. I'm speaking to everybody on Zoom. But yeah, that was it. I just wanted to share that, family stories. Do we ever really get the full story? Do we ever get the full meaning behind it? No, of course not. And anybody who hears half a story and believes it is probably a fool, because you can't ever hear half of the story and then decide that that's all of it. And I suppose that is the problem. Therein lies the problem with family stories, is that you are by default, and let's use the 80-20 rule, because there are going to be times when it's absolutely right. I mean, I'm not saying that this is a hard and fast rule, but I'm just saying that there's always two sides of a story, and it's important to hear both sides of the story. And not that I think anybody was making a judgment or a decision on what they'd heard, but just highlighting the fact that the two sides of the stories were just very different. So, if you have any, if you've got any family stories that you need some help with, ping me a message. Get in touch. One of the message box below, or you can send me an email, and I'll be happy to discuss that with you. All right, take care. Bye.